The homemade lychee and rose popping boba are like flavor bombs. And mixed with that guava and grapefruit concentrate, elderflower, rose spirits, and topped with a little bit of bubbly.
Some of these little popping boba pearls in here. Delicious, like, burst of lychee.
It's like floral heaven, and I'm obsessed with this drink. Hey everyone, in today's video I'm going to be showing you how I made this beautiful floral and refreshing number I'm calling Love and Lychees. It has a grapefruit and guava concentrate, my own homemade rose and lychee popping boba, elderflower, rose, and a little bubbly on top. This is a beautiful and sophisticated non-alcoholic drink. But if you want to make an alcoholic version or a low ABV version, I'll share my recommendations later in the video. There are two make-ahead steps for this drink. One being the lychee popping boba, and the other is the grapefruit and guava concentrate. So this is a plan-ahead cocktail. Let's get started. To bring a little acidity and further overwhelm the scents with floral notes, I'll be combining grapefruit juice and guava. I'm going to try and mimic the flavor of rosé with this flavor combination. I'm going to peel my grapefruit and save the zest to make an oleosaccharum. You can see the link below for my recipe, though I wouldn't use a Ziploc bag like I did in that. Use a reusable silicone bag or muddle in a jar if you can. I'm quartering the zested grapefruit. Then I'm squeezing the juice into my blender. My citrus press broke, unfortunately, so I'll be using nature's juice press, aka my hand. Next, I'm quartering the guava. These guava ripened in my kitchen and the smell was just so intoxicating. The tropical and savory notes from the guava will lend some acidity and complexity to this drink. Blend these together until pureed and then pass through a sieve until all that's left are the seeds. This will have a custard-like texture. We're then going to pour the puree into some silicone molds to freeze overnight. After they've frozen, we'll take them out and let them thaw in a nut milk bag resting in a bowl. This will collect the concentrate. This process is called cryoconcentration. It allows you to extract the water from the sugars, acids, and other flavor compounds, leaving you with an intensely flavored juice that has a very rich consistency, almost like a syrup.
This is like a really fruity, intense, I wish I had smell-o-vision right now because scent of the guava is so powerful. It's like a really rich, ultra juice on steroids, essentially. You're not getting a giant yield, but what you're getting is super flavorful and really clean and nice.
This leftover puree is perfect for enhancing frostings, pastries, cupcakes, yogurt. Definitely don't let this go to waste. Now we can bottle this up and move on to the star of the show. I've been wanting to make these little beauties for so long, and I finally got the chance, and I'm just gonna say I'll definitely be using these in future cocktails. There's no doubt in my mind I wanted to make popping boba with lychee.
I actually got these frozen and just thawed them by running them under cold water. And the reason that I'm using fresh instead of the canned variety, which is a lot more ubiquitous, is because there is citric acid present in this can, and it kind of messes with the spherification process. I think that you could use the canned variety, but you would have to probably rinse off the lychees.
If you haven't had lychee before, they taste like a mix of pear, strawberry, and roses. I originally thought about doing a giant popping boba in the shape of a lychee and putting it into the lychee shell, but it was just too much. It was just too sweet all at once. So we're sticking with smaller boba. I also knew I wanted to incorporate rose into this to keep the floral flavor and theme strong throughout the drinking experience.
So, shocker alert, I'm actually using a store-bought rose syrup, if you can believe it. If you don't want to use a store-bought syrup, obviously you could make your own, just making a simple syrup and then adding some rose water to it. I actually ran out of rose water. I did actually end up making my own hydrosol, which is what rose water is, but I really wanted a really robust rosy flavor to really kind of boost the floral nature of lychees that I'll be using. So that is why I've gone this route.
The process of making these popping boba requires your fruit or syrup, in our case, the lychee and rose, distilled water, and sodium alginate, which is the gelling agent. I'm going to be using 3 fresh lychees peeled. Bonus if you can get a nice half shell to put some boba into. I'll then combine these with 50 milliliters of distilled water and 100 milliliters of rose syrup. The use of distilled water is important here. Minerals in tap water can cause the sodium alginate to gel, which will create a pudding-like consistency of the syrup. Citrus can have this effect too.
It won't be pourable. Like, essentially you want this to be thickened, but you still want it to be pourable.
I'll blend this with my immersion blender and then strain out any leftover solids. Feel free to toss these lychees into some yogurt to take your breakfast to the next level. Then we're going to add this back to our mixing container along with 1.5 grams of sodium alginate, and then I'll blend this for about a minute.
So now I'm going to pop this in the fridge, probably overnight. We want all of these little tiny bubbles to dissipate. They kind of take a really long time to dissipate, but you do want all of them to dissipate because otherwise you'll have little bubbles inside of your boba. They won't look as nice, they won't be as clear, and then also they'll float to the top instead of sink to the bottom of the drink, which is what you want in boba pearls.
After the mixture has settled overnight in the fridge, we can start the spherification process to make the popping boba. It's important to note that you'll want to complete this last step of spherification as close to making the cocktail as you can, so that your boba are still in peak form. Since these are fresh popping boba, they're more delicate than store-bought ones. In a large bowl, I'm going to combine 1 liter of distilled water and 5 grams of calcium lactate for our calcium bath. What's important after this is to have 2 separate bowls of distilled water ready to wash the boba and remove the calcium lactate.
You could rinse them off once, but sometimes some of the calcium lactate will travel on the pearls and it will kind of solidify your pearls, so they will be more like the ones that I made for Serendipity. Those are solid all the way through. We want to preserve that burst of liquid inside, so that's why you want to rinse them once outside of this calcium lactate bath, and then again just to be sure that you've gotten all the calcium off of them.
I'm using a syringe for this, which gave me the exact size of boba I was hoping to achieve. The sodium alginate gels in the presence of calcium to form little spheres upon contact. You can see little tails on some, and they'll even look a little flat once they hit the solution. But rest assured, they will fill out and become little spheres. These pearls can rest in the calcium bath for up to 1 minute. After the boba have formed, I transfer them to their first water bath. Again, this is all using distilled water. Gently remove the boba and move them to their final bath. Repeat this process until you have a good amount of boba for the cocktail. I would say that each cocktail gets around 1 to 2 tablespoons of boba. The lychee rose and sodium alginate mixture can last in the fridge for a few days, so you don't have to make them all at once. Now we're ready to build the cocktail. For our main spirits, I'll be using Ceder's Rose non-alcoholic, which as you can see has hints of juniper, rose, and hibiscus, and Gifford's non-alcoholic Elderflower Liqueur, which if you're looking to build out your non-alcoholic bar, you have got to get your hands on this. We'll start with 1.5 ounces of Ceder's Rose, 1/2 ounce of Elderflower Liqueur, and 1/4 ounce of the Grapefruit Guava concentrate. I'll give this a quick 10-second shake and strain into a champagne flute, and top with about 1 ounce of club soda. Now I'll add the lychee popping boba. I love the beautiful pink color of this one. Such a beautiful drink.
I'm in love with this drink. It's so good. It's like, you can taste all of the things, but you can't discern what's the thing. You know, like sometimes in cocktails you could be like, oh, here's the rose, and then here's this thing. It's kind of like all like one thing. I don't know if that's making any sense. It's pretty late. But this is a really beautiful floral lychee non-alcoholic cocktail. I'm loving it. And when you do get some of these little popping boba pearls in here, it just like, it's that extra oomph of flavor. Delicious like burst of lychee. Really goes so beautifully with the drink. I'm really, really happy with how this turned out. The only other option that I would say to do is, you know, if you have sparkling non-alcoholic rosé wine to top it with instead of the club soda, that would probably bring out even more flavor. But honestly, that like grapefruit guava concentrate is really kind of bringing all of those notes that you would look for from a non-alcoholic wine or an alcoholic wine even.
So if you did want to make this low ABV or just a regular alcoholic cocktail, you could go ahead and swap out the Ceder's Rose for a pink gin. I really like New York Distilling's Dorothy Parker. They make a pink gin. It's delightful. Instead of using the Gifford's non-alcoholic Elderflower Liqueur, you could use St. Germain, and you can top it all off with a rosé champagne, which sounds fantastic to me.
It was like a flavor explosion. Very lychee, but also very, lychees are so floral. It's hard for me to say that it's like lychee and floral, but like that beautiful like rosy lychee flavor is just so incredible. This is my first time using Gifford's non-alcoholic. I've been a huge fan of their alcoholic products. I actually got to taste their pineapple version and their pamplemousse version, and they're both freaking incredible. The pamplemousse I'm going to pick up next time, but I had to get this. I had to get the elderflower. There's something about it was just speaking to me, and I knew it was going to be such a great pairing with lychee. So I'm so glad that I did. I'm so happy with how this turned out.
And these popping boba are one of my favorite garnishes I've ever made. I mean, is it a garnish if it's in the drink? It's part of the drink? I don't know. You know what I mean. If you want to see one of my all-time favorite cocktail garnishes, check out the wine foam I made for this cocktail.